Going good.
Good. I have a flight in 5 hours. So Christmas has come early, and today me and Andrew will be playing the role of Blitzen. We got a few minutes left of the show to go through for episode 6. We're going to wrap that up, call it a day, and then figure out what the hell we're doing for 7, 8, and 9 in I'll be in Korea. So we'll deal with that later. In other news, follow up. Xander Hall's still an asshole. That's about all that's
Was
new.
that still going on?
No, he started another drama where he called a bunch of people pedophiles.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Also, we're probably going to have to do a backup channel because I don't know if you heard what happened to Nick Rekieta, but he got fucking annihilated because he threatened to put some people because he talked about putting some people up on a wall.
Oh.
Now he
Oh
did get his channel
no.
back.
We did. Oh, excellent.
But I don't have, and we don't have the follower base to make shit stir on Twitter over it. So keep an eye out. We're probably going to release a BitChute or a Rumble or some shit in the next few days. Well, I'm pretty much set up here. But Andrew, have you checked to see if the stream is okay? Probably should have checked that myself.
Good point. I'll check right now. By the way, I watched Top Gun Maverick.
Did you see the original Top Gun?
Actually haven't. I would really like to though, because Top Gun was quite good.
Okay. I've checked our stream. It looks like it's good, except it doesn't work on my site for some reason. It never fucking does, even though I select all the correct shit. It'll be there afterwards. Doesn't fucking matter. Okay.
Also doesn't work on Twitter. But linking to the stream works fine. As long as you're on YouTube, it works.
Yeah, it has an embedding thing. I always set it to embed, and for some reason it doesn't save as embedded or shit goes wrong. I'm going to try and quickly fix that. Andrew, you want to tell us what happened last time?
Last time on Arcane, Deadly Shadows, Eves of Escardia.
The third.
Our hero, main character, Violet Vanderson, raided an underground criminal organization base where they were producing drugs. Consuming drugs while stabbed.
No, she went to the whorehouse first. She hasn't done the raid on the.
That was the last time before the last time.
Oh, okay. I know what I thought you were talking about the thing in episode 8, where they raid the drug thing. The manufacturer.
No, that's why I said. That's why I said you raided the drug place where they consume drugs.
The shanty town.
Exactly. Where associate officer
drugs and associates.
Yeah, of the oh, what's that called? Is it oh shoot, what hold on. What is yes, Caitlin of the DEA. They fought no, did they fight? Yes, they're escaping from the clutches
Walter
of the
White
evil
cooking
drug
the
wings.
shimmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Silco, we need to cook. Or no, it'd be Jinx, we need to cook.
Yeah, and then Jinx is like, yeah, science, hex tech.
Jinx, I got cancer in my eye.
Yeah, basically the same. Meanwhile, Jessie is onto something, and she's like, oh my gosh, maybe people are lying, and she was like, something. Oh, the flare. I'm gonna use the flare. And she was talking to the Chuck guy, interrogating him, figuring out what his shtick is. I'm sure Jason Victor did something, but I don't remember what they did. This is 6, so this is Victor being flashbacks to him being young, so he was taking care of a little lizard.
And Jace is ruining everything.
Yes.
Um, yes, and then Silco confronts Vi. Vi defeats Sauron, and
Hmm.
uh, and the music plays.
Hmm.
All right, I think that pretty much catches us up to where we were. So how do we want to go through talking about the visuals first, and then go back and talk about interpretations on the song, or do you want to do song first now? Because I have like the lyrics up and stuff, and then once we've gone through the lyrics, play the show.
Let's do the lyrics first then.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Go first. I literally don't know them.
Maybe we should do the thing first, and then we could listen. No. Right. So Guns for
Uh,
Hire. Woodkid. Did not expect to see Woodkid. I like Woodkid. I liked him. I liked him before Arcane was cool, Andrew. Okay,
oh.
you posers, right? Just showed up in the Arcane. No, I like Guns for Hire. For a number of reasons. One is I've talked about this in last episode, not last episode of Arcane, but last episode of our stream, where I talk about. Uh, so I maintain that Vi's sort of plan, because of the way she's approaching it and who she is, and a series of factors, is innately doomed from the start.
Hmm.
That said, I don't think the plan is an. Oh, I'm getting an alarm. Just a sec. Oh no, copyright music. Good. Okay. I don't think the plan is necessary. Like I don't think Jinx is unreachable. I think Vi doesn't is personally incapable of reaching her, and we'll talk about this a bit later. But how this plays into this song is I maintain that episode 6 and this section here is like the last time anyone's got a chance for a happy ending within the
Hmm.
context of these 3 arcs.
Sure.
And it's the decisions that everyone makes in this episode specifically that that will go on to ultimately be their own ruins. Once this episode ends, there is no path back to happy fun timelands. The ship has sailed out. We have missed the last bus. We're stuck in Schittsburg. And so I think the song kind of does a pretty good job of communicating this sort of idea, because the whole Guns for Hire, the big sort of the line in it is talking about how, oh, everything's coming tumbling down, right? And so partially, uh, well, actually, let me talk about that in a second. There's other lines in this that sort of reflect that, like you're out of time, make your move, live or die, the fuse is lit, and there's no turning back, right? And there's also allusions to how sort of tense this.
Um.
With all the weight buckling down on you now. You wanted to interject, Andrew?
No, just something. It's no, for a second we lost audio from you for me for the Discord. Um. Weird though because they say something because you're not flickering green in the Discord.
Oh, can you hear me now in the Discord?
I can hear you, but you're not flickering green. Hold on, let me just for the sake of sanity check the stream. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just keep talking.
I'm flicking
You know.
on the stream, but that just might be because I share a computer with myself. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, as I was saying, like the lines
Okay, you're
present.
good. You're good.
Okay. Although my oh, there it is. Right. So I was saying there's a lot of references to the sort of this moment where you have to make this final decision, which everyone sort of makes their big final decision. which ultimately, for pretty much everyone, turns out to be a bad one. Um, but this idea that you've run out of time, everything's this is it, this is the moment, right? And uh, and sort of the ending sort of capitalizes on how the decisions made were not the optimal ones, right? Kiss your perfect day goodbye because the world is on fire. Tuck your innocence goodnight.
Mm.
You sold your friends like guns for hire. Right. In addition to that, I like the song because it has like allusions to Arcane the work, right? So they're talking about how everything's coming tumbling down, but part of that illusion they're making is about building up this cast this sort of building up this sort of wall of blocks that are falling down, which sort of alludes to earlier with Silco and Marcus's daughter, right? Because the main focus is the cards. Well, actually, they're not even cards; they're like wooden cards. But there's if you go back, I'm pretty sure there are blocks in the scene as well. And Silco has this moment where, through his own decisions and who he is and his own volition, makes a decision that ultimately sends their structure crashing down. So I think they're doing a decent job of sort of tying in all these, tying in sort of the song to the story itself. And then the final thing I'll talk about is sort of the main crux of the story is about how everything is literally falling apart, or is it's not that everything's falling apart; it's that things are about to fall apart, which makes sense for episode 6, because episode 6, the ending is right before everything falls apart. Episode 7 is the fight on the bridge between Jinx and Echo and Marcus, which fucking kills a huge amount of people,
Mm.
right? And that ultimately leads to the massive militarization of uh, Piltover against Zaun, and it leads to Jinx's decision to attack Piltover, starting this sort of war that it seems to have started at the end of the season. So I think so the song I think does a great job wrapping thematics, meaning, and including some illusions. Right, even stuff that like is throwaway stuff can be linked in. Right, live or die while the fuse is lit. Right, you lighting a fuse is a great sort of symbolic, metaphorical symbol, but it also makes sense given the characters we're with, right? Because Jinx is heavily focused into explosives and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, and like, and emphasizes that like last chance, um, kind of the hope symbolized in the flare.
and I also particularly like the line, "Not a good time to lose control," right as your marionettes cut their strings and run away,
Mm.
which is because obviously uh, Silco is sort of this puppet master who's trying to keep everyone in place. And as all these sort of forces start pulling each other apart, he can't keep everything together. And that makes sense as well, considering the scene we're seeing is Silco for the first time in the series losing his goddamn mind
Mm.
over how fucked up shit's become for him. Right, but also while the line itself is about the sort of general control and puppet mastery over others, that also does a good job of representing Jinx, who is not in control of herself very much. And it's her
Mm.
lack of control as well of herself that hinders her ability to reconnect with Vi. So a lot of these lines you can connect to multiple characters in different ways, which I think is a good touch.
From what you said now, I think this is the strongest song we've seen so far.
Um, yeah, I'd probably give it to, if I were to put it, it would probably be in the top three. I would put this one. I would put uh, Monster You Created in episode 9. I think is really good. And I also like the Motown. What's the Motown song from episode 2? Our Love. I think those three are probably the strongest. Enemy, I'd say, is probably the weakest.
Definitely.
I keep trying to think about it to find another angle, and sometimes like I find something, but it's like one thing and it's not super strong. I thought of something earlier today for it, but I can't remember. Oh, I thought it could possibly be like a sort of representation of Vi's view, because everyone liked her, and then she left. Now that she's come back, she's no longer beloved by the streets, so to speak.
Right.
I thought that might work.
So that's not well.
What I would
I'm not
say,
sure that you
uh,
even think that.
yeah, what I would say is with Enemy, you can find like a line or two that you can connect to a character,
Hmm.
but like with Guns for Hire, we can find one line and connect it to a couple, two or three different people, and how that interconnects with their story. So I think this has a much better spread, than Enemy, where it feels like we're trying. It feels like Enemy is a song not written for Arcane, and we're trying to we're trying to fit it into the box. Like Idiocracy has the square peg, and he's just slamming it into the round hole, trying to make it work. Whereas I think Guns for Hire does a bit better job of representing that sort of representing the ideas in Arcane. Snakes is probably one of the weaker ones too. I think it's okay though. Um, and the rest I'd probably put in the middle somewhere. Are there any other songs you think of off the top of your head? Oh, Dynasties and Dystopias is pretty fitting, right? We'll talk about that next episode, but I think that fuses really well as specifically as a fight between Jinx and Echo. I think there's a few great lines in there. And yeah, is there any other songs you wanted to mention?
Um, well, I think your grasp of them is more thorough than mine. Um, the contrast between the two Zon songs, I think, are
Oh
the
yeah,
the contrast between them is really
Dirty
is really
Little
striking.
Animals and
Hmm.
the other one.
Welcome to the playground.
Yes. Yeah, that was a nice contrast. Those two were pretty great as well. Um, that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. 8 is Snakes. 7 Dynasties and Dystopia. What's 4 and 5?
Um, 5 is I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be my enemy.
Yeah. Oh, Goodbye. Goodbye was
Or
pretty good. That's the episode 3 closer, where they're singing about dying dad. And Misfit Toys works pretty well for what it is. And then When Everything Went Wrong is also probably one of the weaker ones, but I think it definitely makes allusions to Vi. Maybe we'll do that for another episode. We'll rank them. Yeah, let's get this show done.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, and defeating Sauron. Frodo, you must cast the flare into the fire. Right, and the right we have the cut to black, and then we have the slow build to music. Excellent use of music here. And hopefully anyone who's been paying attention, right, and this is why one of the things I keep pointing out, we have these we continuously the so in a show with doing the bare minimum, they would have the flare in episode 3, and then they would bring it back for this scene. and it would probably work. But Arcane, once again, goes a bit above and beyond for that. They have the flare being constantly shown. It's there as a reminder. It's here. Right? She hasn't quite let go yet. She might bring it back. And then there's sort of this tension that they are able to keep underlying the episodes up until this moment that allows it to really build, which is part of what makes this scene so emotional and so powerful for what it is, because they've just sort of kept it there in the back of your mind, making sure you're aware she can use this at any time. She's thinking about using this, and then she finally decides to use it, and then of course accompanied by the big swelling of the song here. And what's also nice, I don't know if the audience saw it, but before she flares it, she puts the hex crystal ball thing in.
Oh, she puts it in.
Yeah, that's why it's so. I think she does. Actually, hold on. She
Not
might not. I
sure.
might. I
That,
might just be dumb.
what would that even do?
I certainly. I think she might not. I can't. There'll be a scene where it's more clear. I remember thinking at this scene. I might be wrong. It's been a little while since I've seen it. But obviously, the flare's blue because it's Jinx. You know. Right. Right. So let's talk about the lead up to this. We have Vi and Silco. I like the imagery a little bit, because although this is supposed to be Vi's like big victory moment where she's now beaten Silco and run away, although Silco hasn't managed to kill her, Silco still right now has everything that Vi wants. So he's in some ways, although she's won this altercation, the sort of overall battle between the two is still at a stalemate. As well, Vi is still alive. Silco still has Jinx loyal
Hmm.
to him. Right, so having this sort of visual where they're both struggling after this fight makes sense thematically, and also probably literally, because she's probably still fairly wounded. but yeah, and then we come to this scene, and I like how what they're doing with Silco here, right? Silco at this point seems very calm, right? He's taking a moment after the fight. He's like, okay, listen, Silco, it's big brain time. We need to come up with a solution here. And what I like about this shot in particular, well, it is big brain time, but Silco's going to find very quickly his brain isn't big enough. But what I like about this shot here is we have Silco like incredibly small in the background, and then what do we have in the foreground? We have the heights of Jinx's family here, which I think is supposed to represent how Silco is sort of seeing this moment, because Silco is desperately trying to make sure Jinx sees, like, Jinx Silco is family and Vi is outsider. And so I think this is supposed to like represent his biggest fear is that now that Violet's come back, he has become the outsider to the family and he's going to lose Jinx.
Hmm.
Agree, disagree? Additional thoughts?
Yeah. Um, as kind of striking as it is, it also is itself a ruin, right? Like, kind of like reminds us that, like, okay, yeah, like we got a potential for hope here. Silco's empire, a big symbol of it is kind of um big personification of it, or whatever you call it, a symbol of it has been toppled. There's this massive, slab, this monument of by basically, but also it is worn, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not the
these
same as it
relationships are
was.
damaged, much like the surrounding. Though we still have the name, so it's not completely destroyed, but it's not in good shape.
Hmm.
right? It's
Are
it's
are
what we when
these?
the environment matches the feelings or
Oh,
whatever, the pathetic
yeah,
fallacy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pathetic.
Making all sorts of connections. Seems like Jinx ain't doing too well.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's going on there because that to me seems like my I wasn't I didn't have like a coherent thought initially when I saw that Milo and Clag are kind of ghosting in. But my initial thought would have been like we're avenging them, like we're putting it back together.
I would personally, I interpret it as this is so. Vi is sort of the representation of her old family, and Silco's the new family. I think by going back to Vi and bringing back those memories, Jinx is sort of having to face, to a degree, what she did and what
Hmm.
happened to Milo and Clagger, which she is sort of just frozen in the back of her mind and not dealt with. So I think
Hmm.
part of it, what I think is happening is by her going back to calling Vi and going back, there's a sort of she basically has to face her repressed. Um, I hate fucking using the word, but traumas from what she did. Uh,
It's a reasonable context.
right, and then as well, because there's probably a fair bit of survivor's guilt. Right, she got to live while they two died, and now she's going to find Vi, which the point of which is to lead to this sort of happy ending conclusion where she gets to be happy with Vi, despite these two being dead, right?
Isn't there a difference here in that Milo's not a ghost, Clagger's not a doll, like um it's just them, right? It's like the reality of I don't know. It's definitely different than what we usually see.
Yeah, the way I
Like
would see it,
it seemed to me like they're like the fact that they're kind of standing together back to back made me think like yes, like we're gonna resolve this, right? We're gonna like make amends for the family. They're um like we're kind of like be able to like do this like together, like for the sake of their memory, like we'll avenge like not necessarily avenge them, but like make it right. Like because it's kind of like a triumphant pose for them, right? Like,
well, I don't know if Milo looks real triumphant in this shot.
no, but they're all like the way they're standing back to back, right? Because it's like sure he died like that, but it's like yes, like it's like remember like Milo is like we see like dead, like you're not gonna fix it, but like
I
at
think
least we can like stand together. Like it's not. I'm not explaining this well, and I don't know if this is what they're doing, but
I
this
get
is
what you're
kind of my
saying.
impression. Yeah.
I would disagree a little bit. I think probably I would say, so. First, I would say the difference between Milo and Clegger before and then as ghosts now is in the scenes with Milo and Clagger earlier that they act as more representations of pieces of Jinx's psyche, right? Milo sort of represents the all the negative thoughts and beliefs she has about herself, whereas Clagger represents the more positive stuff, or at least her problem solving or suggestions or stuff like that. Whereas in this scene, she's actually dealing directly with the memories of them. And as for the pose, uh, if it was like a triumphant or they were going to do something together, I feel like they would be side by side as opposed to back to back. I think in this pose probably more suggests that like the idea of she's carrying the weight of guilt of their deaths on her back might be an
Hmm.
alternative way to look at it.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe
but of course, death of the author, no interpretation is a wrong interpretation unless you don't put any effort into it.
the author's alive.
And I like right? It's like a gun barrel made out of smaller gun barrels.
Oh,
So
it's like you. Yeah.
I like how
Oh
Silco
man.
goes from, okay, we gotta sit down here, big brain time. Takes a few seconds. Nope, everything's
Oh,
fucked.
yeah.
Just absolutely loses his shit.
Yeah. It's the like. It's really impactful. Like that's the thing, right? Like to me, it was a contrast. It was all contrasting with Silco. It was Silco's defeat, Silco's low point. So that just like emphasized to me like this hopeful thing of like, yes, the flare, like this is about to be good and like like a heroic potential event, right? Like um similarly to episode 3, you think, oh, okay, Powder's gonna come, and I literally I watched it with a friend of mine. I was showing him, and yeah, he was like Powder was climbing up, and he was like, all right, so Powder's gonna come in and blow him up, and Vi's gonna see that she's capable after all, and it's gonna be great. I was like, hmm, funny you should say that.
Yeah, the show sets him up to knock you down.
Yeah. So I think in this, it's kind of a similar thing of like, it's a really, really strong showcase of like Silco is all but defeated, and we see his defeat in sight. Um, Kind of the zenith of that. I don't know if that's the right word, but that was a cool word to use in this case. Is Vi and Jinx reuniting.
Or if you're Team Silco, it's just a horrible. Oh no,
um,
our beloved terrorists. Or of course you can be 832 IQ brain like me over here and realized this plan is doomed. Talk about that when we get to.
Game was rigged from the start.
Sorry, what was that?
Game was rigged from the start.
The house always wins. And also, what's his name? Jason Spacek doing a great job with Silco
Oh,
screaming.
so speaking of the house always wins and Jason, is it Spayek? I think
It's
it's
something like that.
Pisak.
It's something foreign, Andrew, and I don't learn no foreign names.
It's Spisak, Jason Spisak. Um, so I was like thinking, okay, this is so familiar, and for some reason I was thinking of Volpus and Kolta from Fallout New Vegas, and would you believe it? It is Jason Spisak.
Yeah, he's a voice actor for games.
Yeah.
It just goes to show if instead of hiring celebrities who have never voice acted in their life, you hire someone who's actually dedicated to the craft and has experience in the field, you get good work.
That can't be
Sometimes it
true.
works out. Mark Hamill transitioned to the voice acting work fucking beautifully.
Hmm.
I don't know if I ever told you what the day I discovered Mark Hamill was a voice actor.
I,
I
you
was
might have,
walking
but
around one day,
remember.
I'm like, whatever happened to Mark Hamill? He just disappeared. And then I realized he was in all like my favorite shows growing up as a voice actor. And he was so good, I never recognized any of the voices to one another. Like, oh, he was
I know
always.
he's really good.
Sometimes I look back in the sand and I see two sets of footprints. Me and Mark
Oh
Hamill.
no.
Uh,
By the way, I put uh Volpus and Kolta stuff from Fallout New Vegas in the chat if you're interested in taking a quick look later on. So it doesn't help the viewers, but oh well.
maybe probably won't look at anything tonight. After I'm done this, I gotta make sure
Yeah.
everything's fucking
Sure.
flight in 5 hours. Might have a few minutes after. 4 hours now. Oh wait, no,
Mhm,
yeah, it's
mhm.
9. So
Goodness. Sleep.
12,
Yeah.
4 hours. Okay. Listen. Also, got got time to throw in a little joke. Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah. It isn't a rush, but gotta do the character thing of like no yeah.
Yeah, and what's great is because they work it into this shot here, because she's running. They create this joke, but it doesn't just stand on its own. They use that to lead into this moment where she stops and looks around, and that's when she's going to see Silco stomping on him. No,
She looks up and sees Silco. Ah.
Silco was Sauron the entire time. Boom.
The Hellbrand is Sauron.
Come tumbling down.
And Arcane is so good at like things are about to get escalated, whether that's things are about to get worse or like really hyping up something. Like it's really like this series of like shots of like like Silco being like pissed off by rushing to like, and I like we hope that she sees Jinx. And then like Marcus setting up his barriers and getting ready to like go in guns blazing. Who knows what he's gonna do? I don't know. It's got some stuff going on here.
Yeah, and all the
Yeah,
shots
successful.
are very dramatic. We got Marcus here, the giant lights behind him, very dramatic framing and poses.
Hmm.
I also like
Triangle.
uh, right. We have this scene because we know what the flare is, and we think
Hmm.
Vi recognize it, but she immediately gets pulled away by Caitlyn. So despite her seeing it, we get that suspense of whether or not she's going to show up maintains through the rest of the scene.
And Caitlyn's always just a buzzkill, isn't she?
Fuck the police,
Just always does the wrong thing at the wrong time.
coming straight from the end.
DEA has no place in the Undercity.
Ballers. Andrew
Oh,
coming out strong
interesting.
for
They're putting.
defund the police.
No, 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 no.
Listen, I mean, if they're just going
It's
to
a
arrest
joke.
people for tweets now,
But
I could be persuaded. Right. Uh, I don't like this scene.
not
Yeah.
sure. I didn't have an issue with it. What do you think? What do you think? What's the
Well,
concern you have with it?
so my issue is, and I've brought this up a couple of times with the Silco, and I will bring it up with by Mel's mom. I think that's episode 8. But they introduce stuff at the beginning of the episode that they pay off at the end of the episode that probably should have been introduced sooner. And this and none of them's like awful. This is probably the most egregious example because in a few minutes uh, he's going to leave, and then we have Victor come in immediately at common time. And he says, "I understand now." I feel
Oh,
right after he says, "I thought you'd understand," and the problem is I don't think it gives us enough time to sort of absorb the weight of those words. Right? If like these scenes happened earlier in the show, and we had this, I thought you would understand, and this I thought you understand was part of like a recurring theme for Victor, right? Like here's one way they could have done it. We have the Victor stuff happen earlier in the thing, and we have this I thought you'd understand, and he leaves, and then we could see that reflected in Heimerdinger whenever he keeps on arguing for these safety procedures that Victor's against, and he could respond, "I thought you would understand, Victor. We need these safety measures here." And so we could have that sort of this sort of this duality in Victor where he's not quite on one side and not quite on the other. And we could have sort of this interwoven story where this could be like a source of trauma for him, like the rest of the characters, where he can't understand why Singe did this, and build that up. And then when we come to this episode and he does come down, it would hit a lot harder when he comes and says, "Now I understand." Because what he's actually saying there is, he's saying he's like this is basically if you know, going up to Mangala and saying, "Oh, I understand why you did that, all those experiments on those Jews. I get it now." It's a pretty fucking extreme statement to make, right? And I feel like the weight of the extremity in that statement, because what he's saying is this horrible event that is well, it probably should have shaped him. It's not super prevalent in how it shaped him, but this horrible event where he's seen this creature that he cares about being like horrifically treated to the point where he breaks off the contact with this one person, the only person who ever really showed any interest in his work. Right? For him to now come back and say, "I understand why you would do that," and not only that, because that's going to lead into him going down that path. So he's tacitly endorsing what's happening in this scene retroactively. And I don't think that gets across nearly as well, or really at all, because of how close these scenes are jammed together.
I don't think I don't think it has anything to do with how close the scenes are together, to be honest. I think we don't understand how this event shaped Victor. It's because there isn't anything prior to this event in the show from his adulthood would that would effectively be, well, a result or effect of this event as the cause. I think it's just as jarring. Like, I think it's like, I think just like us knowing who Victor is now, someone who cares about, um, he wants to make things better for people in general, especially for the Undercity. Um, he's not really a political guy. He just wants, things to be better for people in general. He's not interested in being, public or seen or anything. He just wants to do a lot. He thinks he has a lot of potential. He's obviously concerned for. He doesn't want to die. Like, um, but then seeing like Victor as like the like the kind of youth kindness that he has and the care for the creature, and then it's instantly juxtaposed with understand now. It's like, oh frick, like we've already seen how he got there, right? Like, already seen that he's like willing to, like, well, let me before I maybe go down that trail
Want
of
to
thought.
watch a bit more?
Um,
Jog some memories.
no, I was wondering. Well, I mean, yes, let's watch more. But I was wondering. I'm trying to remember like the last scene we had of Victor. He did right before, like what he did like as an adult right before coming down here.
Let me go through.
I think he. I want to say he.
I think it's a flash. Oh, it's him talking to Heimerdinger about it must be destroyed.
Okay.
And then before that,
Yeah, and Heimerdinger is like, Victor, something happened. What, like, um something's different. Victor's like, oh, I don't know what you mean. we can kind of see that I don't know exactly how to describe it, but like the preference, the desire to um create this thing at any costs, understand it, embrace its nature, like the fascination he has with it, the effect that it can give, the impact it can have. That is now overtaking any interest in, well, if there's some sort of well-being gain from it, any, like, I'm much more willing to sacrifice my own, like, um, like whether I have to suffer or something, or if something else has to suffer along the way. I understand now why you would want to do that because of how amazing the effects of this thing that I've discovered are going to be. I think that's more than enough for us to make sense of this and for it to just be almost like instinctive in most people. That's like, okay, yeah, I get exactly what's happening here without
Yeah,
necessarily putting it into words.
I'm not saying that the scenes don't make sense. I'm saying I think they're messing up the dramatic beats. Is essentially my criticism. My issue is he says, "I thought you would understand," and within the next 2 seconds, we go to adult, and he says, "I understand now." And I don't like it because I don't think it gives enough of a dramatic pause or enough of a story beat on that initial the initial breakdown of their relationship to make the statement that come to make the mending of it impactful or yeah, impactful. Right? If so here's a simple way that I think they could have changed it that would make me happy probably. If they had this scene happen earlier and then for when the scene he returns, he comes in and then has those sort of Jinx style flashbacks. So like we have like the empty room where the creature was, and then we flash for a second to the creature, and then we go through the same scene again in these quick flashes as he goes through it, and then he confronts him and says, "I understand now." I think it would give more time. My problem is they don't allow the sort of they don't talk about the cause of the breakup between these two characters until this scene, and then they immediately resolve it. And I feel like it would be better dramatically if they had the breakup earlier to let the breakup and the reasons for that breakup sink in, and then have that resolved later in the episode, where uh, Victor comes around to Silco's way of thinking. And if you did it a lot earlier, you could do like this. You could see Victor. Because the sort of conflict Victor is going through is, does he want to be like Silk or does he want to be like Heimerdinger to some degree, right? They represent greater extremes than Victor is as an individual, but these are sort of the two paths of his two teachers that are sort of fighting with one another. And so I think as well, by having these seen earlier, we would have a bit of a better context to understand the struggle and the conflict that's happening, which I think would improve the viewing experience of it. And because that sort of conflict is central in our minds, when he comes down and finally accepts not Silco, Singe's view of things, I think that would be a more impactful story beat as a result. Do you get what I am saying?
No. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, I don't know. I guess it's like, well, like at the point where like I'd have to actually like see it because like it certainly felt strong watching it. Like I didn't have the same reaction that you did. So I don't know if it's me not necessarily understanding kind of like the advantages that would come from that from an experience, or if it's just a matter of it being subjective. I'm not sure. But I think there's certainly advantages to the way that you're describing.
And of course, that's a callback to earlier, where it has to live, but since never met comfortably.
Mm. That's still like the creature there.
Yep. And it's not. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but it's pretty evidently the source of the shimmer.
You find a lot of that stuff out of that creature.
Well, I don't think it's all directly taken from it anymore, right? They have new plants and stuff. Literally every father ever. How many problems can one girl cause?
It's often the thought that I have about my daughter. I don't have a daughter.
But she's a secret and no one can talk about her. I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say Jinx is a little upset. Yeah, it's funny because it's Savika's. She's making Savika look silly. Right? I think that's probably the point, right? Savika, right? Because prior to this, Savika is sort of lowering Jinx's value towards Silco, right? It's only a matter of time before Silco realizes that you're about as good for our cause as you are for family, Jinx. And so I think this is her way of, oh, okay, now let me lower your value here. Look how silly your second in command looks. She got beat up by a little girl. Got a mustache drawn on her.
And for Jinx personally, well, she's a liar.
Well, I think that's
Shows
directed at
that.
Silco, as opposed to because Silco said Vi was dead.
Yeah, but her big thing is like Savika lied, right? And then later on, like soon we see her say, "Wait, what? Savika wasn't lying?" Like real, she's really focused on that rather than Silco. She will be later, Silco.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. I interpret it as Savika says it because she knows Jinx will worry about it, and so I think Jinx kind of believes it but doesn't want to believe it. You know, I don't know if you've ever, what's it, a denial? I think she's in denial about it, and so I think the "you're a liar" is more directed at Silco because
I think that reinforces that it's at Savika because she'd be much more willing to be in in denial and call her rival Savika a liar than she would be to then be like, well then therefore this also leads me to conclude the even worse thing that my beloved second adopted father is also a liar. I don't think she's consolidated that connection. Maybe.
maybe she
It could
does
be either
get
way.
mad at Silco a little for
She
lying.
does. She does. That's after she says, um, Savika wasn't lying.
Maybe she's calling both of them a lie.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, makes sense.
I like the design. Looks like there's a little monster on top.
Oh, it almost looks vaguely shark-like, you might say. Got a little fin. It's got a little tail down onto the platform.
I'm so upset that you figured it out before we got there. After you already watched it and didn't see it.
Oh, I love this scary bird. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I always love scary squawking crows.
Yeah, so I mentioned
Their
this.
thing.
Crows are super interesting as sort of a symbolic animal because they no one's really sure what they symbolize. Is what you gather, because they're good luck and they're bad luck. So what the fuck? So
why are they good luck?
um, I don't know offhand what the whole reason behind it is, but they were for a period. So obviously they're considered bad luck because they hang around dead corpses and shit, right? Because they're scavengers and they eat. They'll eat they'll eat anything. They'll eat all the meat. I think I can Google check it real quick. I think it's for similar reasons they're considered good luck, like they keep the dead from coming back. I'd have to check, but I remember because this came up in CK3. No one's really sure. They can mean good luck and they can mean bad luck. So all I really know, Andrew, if you see a crow, you're going to get some kind of luck,
Wow.
which is not helpful, but
You
it's
know
a
what?
great symbolic thing for Jinx,
I
who
think
has
that's super convenient.
right. We have no idea whether she's Powder or Jinx in any given moment. We don't really. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to find if there's like a wouldn't be etymology, but like I don't know. But I know they were considered both, uh, at least in the medieval age.
Sure, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
um,
So if you saw a murder of
believe you.
crows, it is it actually murder?
There's a murder, yeah.
That doesn't help.
I don't know. I mean, like I there's often like a ton of crows on my way to church because I go like an hour, um, kind of like down like country roads and stuff. There's especially in like summer. Um,
Oh, you know why they're probably were considered good luck? This is just a guess, but they eat carrion and bugs, which are going to be
okay,
major sources of disease.
so you kind of want them handy.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. They're also like super smart and great, great at mimicking. They're like parrots a little bit. Yeah, there's like an actual like lore in the game of what the crows are. They're like demon crows or some shit. But if it's not in the work, we don't analyze it. And the flare has gone out. Okay, she did not combine the hex tech with the flare like I thought she did.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
because that would honestly that would not make sense.
you know why I thought it? Because it was blue and the hex tech is blue. And I would assume a flare to be red. Like the one Lauren Southern definitely shot at that boat that one time. Gets very upset whenever anyone says that. Mainly because it's not actually true, but yeah, I like how this scene works. The scene works out, right? Because we had that moment earlier where Caitlyn pulls Vi away. We're not actually sure whether or not she's coming, and the flare runs out, and we don't see Vi, and we have no idea whether she's coming or not. We're on Jinx's side, like, God damn, I really wanted Vi to show up. And as the audience, right, you're probably primed to assume Vi won't, because the idea would be if Vi shows up now and they resolve all their problems. Well, what's the last 3 episodes, right? And so there's a lot at work to really put into doubt whether or not Vi is going to show up, and that really builds the tension for this moment. And then you see her like coming out from the mist at the bottom. See her silhouette show up.
Yeah, it's really it's really doing the build you up to bring you down. I think that they kind of morph Jinx's face to kind of go more between like a more to kind of like make her look more like the powder model versus like more like the it's like the Jinx from like the game, I guess. I'm not sure if that's exactly the best way to describe it, but like
Well, I don't think
I remember
Jinx.
seeing like a right?
Well, Jinx, even in the show, like full on Jinx, has a huge difference from Jinx from the game.
Yeah, I mean like the just like the face structure. Like I saw
And
on
Caitlyn has no
YouTube and like the
top hat and
making of.
miniskirt. Where's my Caitlyn police officer sheriff with a top hat and miniskirt?
It doesn't make any sense. Why would she have that
Uh,
sheriff?
so basically, there's two reasons. One, it's Caitlyn, at least in the original Piltover, is meant to be a lot more steampunk esque. We talk about it a bit, but because my big argument it's not steampunk is there's no steam. But obviously the top hat and stuff is drawing on steampunk inspiration, Victorian era inspiration. And the second is it's a game, right? So you need very uh, you need these over the top designs so you can tell which character is yours and which character is someone else's, right? So everything's like a bit more absurdist, not absurdist, but over the top, so that you're able to better differentiate uh, small like people on the screen.
True.
I don't know, Andrew. Do you think? Do you know anything about game design? Would you be able to tell if that is?
Going from my revenue, no, I don't.
No, but I remember because I remember playing fucking what's it Marvel Alliance as a kid, and you have like four heroes, and I could never tell which character was mine, so I always had to play like the Hulk or the Thing because I'm like,
Well,
okay, big green blob is me, easy.
the one the one thing I can tell you about character design is you want to focus on like the silhouettes. You have to be able to tell the characters apart just by looking at the silhouette, just by looking at them as like a fully black opaque shape against like a white background.
Well, top hat would benefit because Caitlyn's all very like
True,
long lines, right? She's sniper, she's tall. Top hat
true.
adds to that.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example of that in action.
Oh yeah. This is the moment where Vi ruins everything. See if you catch the big issue here. Do you see the issue that's starting to happen here, Andrew?
No, yeah.
That's not powder, Andrew. That's not powder.
What's she supposed to call her?
Jinx.
Oh,
Powder has taken on this identity. She is Jinx now. And listen, you can say, well, listen, you can't call it that. Like, sure, whatever. Doesn't matter. The point is, Vi engages in this entire discussion as if she's talking to Powder, who does not exist anymore. This isn't Powder. This hasn't been Powder for quite some time. And so she's talking to this sort of what's the word? Your
phantasm,
I mean
phantasm.
phantasm I guess could work. But she's talking to the image of her perception of someone who once existed.
Yeah,
And not to Vi, not to Jinx. And that's why nothing she says is going to have like any almost nothing she says is going to have any weight or meaning to it. Because she's not talking to Jinx, the one person she's supposed to be talking to right now. Right? Look at how she approaches all these sort of issues, how she approaches everything.
I think she's I think she's doing the right thing here. I think she immediately rushes to explain exactly what happened.
Yeah,
You know,
this is
this is fine so far. But you're right that she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand, like, and she has no way of understanding. Like, she's not at fault. Um, like, she's doing her best. She's not trying to alienate
well, your
her
best isn't
sister.
good enough.
No, but it's very true that
I
the
will say,
consequence is like it doesn't matter what you want to do. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't know
yeah,
what's happening is happening.
I will say this is pretty good. I will say there's probably a bit of an undercurrent of it was my job to come find you, which sort of plays into that. It's my job to come help and protect you and make you safe because you are little babby Jinx and can't do anything yourself. And well, it's obvious she's not overgoing with it, and she's not explicitly stating that. I think someone like Jinx would read into that a little bit.
Yeah, which is Vince's fault, not Vi's fault.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jinx is the one she's talking to. You got to target your
I
message.
know. I know.
If I walked into a feminist conference and said, "Let's talk about all these whorish women," and they
What
all
do we?
left, I'm like,
What's
What is going on? Why aren't they listening? I can't act like that.
what do we know about Vi? What's the number one thing we know about Vi?
She likes to punch people.
Yeah, she doesn't freaking think about what she does.
Think, Vi. Think
Think, Vi, think.
in a million years, they'll all be gone. What'll you have? I'll have
By the
you,
way,
Jinx.
by the way, hold on, I'm gonna cut you off right there. I'm on episode 2. I finished episode 2 of Invincible.
Oh, okay.
Just
I
I
won't
just know I
spoil
only know
anything.
it's the meme. I don't know what the actual context for the meme is.
Uh yeah. Well, I mean, you have I won't say anything, but episode one. Uh, episode one does a really great job laying it out because episode one has the ending with the Guardians, right?
Hmm.
Right. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that was something. Yeah, we watched. That was when I showed I mentioned I showed him Arcane. We didn't get to episode 3 of Arcane that day, but we watched episode 1 of Invincible and then 1 and 2 of Arcane.
Yeah,
So that was the
Invincible.
same time.
I like Invincible. I think it's got a few issues in it, but I think it's on a better track. I think it's on track to end, at least to have a better like latter half than the comic did. The comic went through a bunch of different writers and just wasn't as good the further you got into it.
Oh, okay.
Fortunate.
I really don't like the Amber.
No one likes Amber. Wait,
It
Amber.
just doesn't.
Right, you don't like Amber now on episode 1.
Episode 2.
Episode 2, she gets worse. I don't know if you're aware of this. She gets worse.
Yeah, no, I know she gets worse.
Listen,
I already
I'm
don't
not
like
saying
her
nothing
though.
about nothing. All I'm saying is Amber in the original, everyone liked, and she was white. And then they had to go with all this. They had to go then, and you want a race swap, that's fine. But then they took the one race swap character and made her unlikable. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying of all the characters you could have made unlikable, you picked the one you made black. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
All I'm saying is maybe, you know, maybe the African Americans are probably not too happy about this piece of representation. That's all I'm saying.
You'd think so. You'd think so.
They made his
Yeah.
best friend gay. They didn't make him unlikable. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're also racist and sexist
I'm
for
not
not
saying
liking
she's
her.
unlikable because she's black. I'm
No, no,
saying
no,
they
no,
made
no.
her black and they made her unlikable, and it seems like you should do one of those things, but not both. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you are definitely racist. Yeah, sorry, Max.
I don't know how to explain. I'm not saying. We're continuing on.
What say you for your racism?
And I'm just saying. Yeah, I like this line. Are you real? Right, that plays into all like the hallucinations. She's been facing over the course of the past few episodes. And what it does really well is it takes focus off of the actual conversation that was happening prior about what the fuck is going on, and moves it from that into a sort of more emotional realm, which ultimately leads to the big freak out. Do you see it? Do you see what I'm saying now, Andrew? Do you see it? Can you see it with your ears?
Oh, still good.
Things changed when you left. I changed. Oh, you had to do what you had to do to survive. Vi is effectively rejecting the notion that Powder has become this individual person. And not only that, right? And here's the big issue. Jinx never didn't do this stuff because she had to do this stuff. She genuinely cares about Silco and all of these people, and she wants to be this person who she is. And so for Vi to come in and deny, like, oh no, nothing you hold to be important is actually important. This is just like a big coping.
No, I don't think Vi is doing anything wrong here at all. I think she's doing. I think it is the effect. The effect is going to be what it is because of the circumstances.
Well, the effect is all that.
What Vi is.
I'm not saying Vi is a terrible fucking person who needs to be put up on the wall.
No, but you're saying, oh, Vi's coming in and doing this and that, and it's a.
I'm making the argument why this is doomed to fail.
Okay.
Right. I'm saying these lines that she's saying are not conducive to her goal of bringing back to getting Jinx to leave Silco. Right, by coming in and right, because what this line is that Vi is refusing to recognize Jinx as she is. Right, she's dismissing this sort of person she's become. Well, this isn't who you really are. This is just what you've had to do to survive. You wouldn't choose to do these things. You don't want to do these things. They're just an unfortunate reality that was necessary, when that's not the case.
I don't know if it's all that. I think it's, well, I don't know. I don't think it's okay. Like, I agree with you from from the perspective of the assessment of this is why it's doomed to fail because Vi isn't because I would the way that I would sorry the way that I would phrase it from my understanding of this is Jinx is not. Oh man, I don't even know how to phrase it because I think Vi is essentially saying, look, I'm putting everything out there. I'm saying I'm 100,000% willing to like forgive and overlook anything that you have to do that you feel guilty about, like you're crying, right?
Mhm.
Understand that you've done things that are probably terrible things. I've heard about things. I'm saying it doesn't matter. Like we're gonna figure out what to do now. So whereas Jinx, it's kind of leading into that buildup of well, actually, where we go wrong here is I'll have to. Oh no, okay. Where we really go wrong is in a second when
Caitlyn shows
she's
up and
telling
shit
her,
kicks off.
yeah, that's where we really go wrong. But this is okay.
Well,
They can easily deal with this. Right? Um, Vi would probably be more and more surprised and be like, "Hold on a second, like, you actually, like, legitimately are in favor of like, you actually, like, legitimately wanna fight for him? Like, what's going on?" And because Vi doesn't freaking know how to do anything when it comes to other people, um, she wouldn't know how to deal with that, and we're gonna have trouble one way or another. At this point, we can have a much better result than what we get still.
Yeah, right. Right. I've said by the end of this episode, everything will become impossible.
No,
Right.
I'm trying to
So I'll partially agree with you.
underline.
At this point in the show, Vi can turn it all around. Uh, that is a possibility that exists in the multiverse.
I'm also gonna push back on, like, the identity thing, right? Like, Jinx has done a lot of terrible things. There's no need to make that, like, well, like, she's made that her identity from, like, a psychological perspective, but nothing saying that it can't go the other way, that Vi has to accept it, but it could just as well be the much more difficult path of Jinx can for that.
Right, so Jinx can change and become like a have a good for the lack of a better term, a good person.
Sure.
Right. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is the way in which Vi is approaching Jinx is not meeting. Vi is not meeting Jinx where she is, which is the issue. Right. If let me think how to explain this. So Jinx, so Jinx is a person, and Jinx the person has stuff she believes and stuff she wants to do and stuff she doesn't want to do. Right. There's this person that exists who is Jinx. Right. And the issue is Vi isn't recognizing. She's recognizing things are different, but she's not really recognizing that that Jinx has changed. Right? So this line I think is a great example of that. The you did what you had to do sort of implies that there is this Powder exists as this person underneath Jinx who, because of the situation they're in, cannot express herself as Powder and has been sort of forced to become Jinx or has to act in a certain way. And that if, say, we had Magic Man from episode 1 show up and teleport them to another location, things would suddenly be different. When that's not the case, Jinx Powder has changed to become, at this point I still argue it's a Powder Jinx hybrid. But this character that Vi is in front of has fundamentally different is fundamentally different from the person she used to know. This Jinx has different values and goals and ideals and friends and all these sorts of stuff, and you can't really talk to anyone unless you meet them where they are. Right? It'd be like me walking up to you and saying, "So, Andrew, why is it?" Or like actually I don't want to use that example. That's not a super great example. Um, but the issue is Vi isn't recognizing who Jinx is right now. She is recognizing the Powder she knew and is trying to bring that person out of Jinx. And that seems to be her goal. But even if we were to make Jinx become this, again, for the lack of a better word, good person, this person she would transform into would be a different person from that Powder she used to know. Right? You can't, despite the memes, you can't evolve backwards. And so the issue is, right, so here's one way this would be a huge issue, right? If Vi is approaching this situation like Jinx really hates Silco and wants to leave him because of everything that happened, that's not congruent with Jinx's reality. Jinx genuinely, loves and wants and cares about Silco, and unless Vi is willing to sort of grapple with that and deal with that, there's no sort of going forward, right? Do you see what I am saying?
See what you're saying.
And this is going to be the big issue when we get to episode 9, because Vi is going to attempt to use that same fucking that same sort of thing, and it doesn't go very well. Well, it goes better for her than Silco, but this is the big problem when
I
she
think
gets.
episode 9 is what I'm thinking of.
What do you mean?
Because the thing I'm thinking of that is Vi's messed up. I think that I'm thinking of episode 9. This episode. I'm not sure if that's now or later. I think
Oh,
it's later. I think it is 9.
okay, but yeah, and so what I'm saying is that refusal to understand, or not refusal, but that lack of understanding of that Jinx is no longer Powder, and that she's become this different person, sort of dooms these attempts. And that's why in episode 9, that's why both in this episode and in episode 9, she's going to be unable to reach her, because she's not going to be arguing or talking to Jinx in a way that sort of that Jinx can understand, so to speak. Right? And this is why Vi thinks it's a good idea to have her dredge up all those memories of these traumatic events that happens in episode 9. Because she thinks that will get her to sort of wake up and become and re-become the Powder she is deep down inside, which is not who she is. There is no secret Powder buried deep within. There is the person who exists here and now, who is this hybrid of this old person you used to know and this new person who has been created over time. Right? And this is why Vi's suggestions are stuff like, "Oh, we should leave together," which is a suggestion, but that means abandoning everything else that Powder cares about. Right? All of this stuff is geared under the assumption that she's talking to Powder and not to this new character.
I don't know, man. Like Powder seems really, or Jinx, whatever, seems really receptive to what Vi is saying in this scene until the well, basically until Caitlyn shows up. Well, actually, like maybe I'll have to see this play out in full and see what everyone's doing and saying to really know for sure. Do you want to keep going right now, or should we say more?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
4 hours.
The crow's squawking.
Squawk.
Okay. Okay. So what do we have here? We have for sure. Um,
The crow.
Jinx is receptive enough to what Vi is saying that she's on board with. Okay, well, whatever the case, yes, I agree with. What matters is that we're together.
Yeah.
Till Caitlyn shows up, then it's like, hold on, what's going on here?
She's been sleeping around. It's actually a bit of a refutation on episodes 2, Our Love. Right? The whole point of that song is it doesn't matter what anyone says, I know she loves me. And so it doesn't matter what anyone says about her or says about me and her, says about anything else. I know she loves me and I love her. Whereas now, it very much matters what Savika says.
True. Seeds are planted. Yeah, and that's like
Oh no, it seems like all these things are coming tumbling down, Andrew. If only
And
there
now
were
Milo
some
starts
musical
to wake
number to
up.
warn us. I
Oh, but
like.
that was like hopeful. It was nice. It was. This is a good moment. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah.
See that? So what I get from this is Jinx is saying, "I really want what you're saying. I really want that to be true, but it's too good to be true. So you're playing me."
Um, I don't know. She talks a little bit. I think Jinx likes the idea of Vi coming back to her. Uh, but she has all these sort of Savika has planted this seed of, oh, she's not back for you. She's back for the stone.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn very clearly is here for the stone. And I get how that feels. Women are always after my stones, Andrew. A real problem. um it's why I tell all women believe in hand holding only in the context of marriage. The purposes of procreation. Uh,
Well,
but but uh but yeah. So I think and Jinx is a very insecure character. Uh, I don't. Do we have to cite our sources on this one? Can we just? He's very clearly a very insecure
I'm
character.
I'm on board.
Uh, and so she's. I think part of this is her trying to figure out. I think the initial conversation is her trying to figure out what is happening in this moment. Right? Are you real? I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting. That might not be though. Right? Are you real? And she's like, "Oh, I can get Marcus." Right? She's trying to figure out what's going on. She's putting the pieces together. And then Caitlyn shows up like this final piece of the puzzle. And she's like, okay, I know what's happening now. You motherfucker. You son of a bitch. You are here to steal my stone?
I think she still hasn't pieced it all together. I don't think she like in a second she's gonna do shut up everybody. I need to think. Right? Because she's
Right,
this is
but
just another thing of like, hold on, this doesn't make any sense. But Vika wasn't lying.
right,
Like
she's
I
with
don't
the
think this is like
enforcer. Uh, well, no. Okay, so what I would my counter to that is after this point, Vi is going to make the no. I'm definitely here for you. And so I think that shut up I need to think is partially her silencing like the negative voices, and she's trying to
hmm,
figure out whether Vi is lying to her or not.
right.
So I think her working
Yeah, okay.
hypothesis in this moment is, "Oh, you son of a bitch." And she never works out the hypothesis because we're going to have some party crashers.
Yep.
See what I'm saying, Andrew? Do you see what? Do you see what I am saying?
Uh no, because as long as she thought that I was telling the truth, she was completely on board with that.
Why can't you just admit I'm right about everything I ever say? Why can't why?
You're fucking wrong, you bastard. Okay.
How I would interpret what's
I'm
happening is when Vi shows up, right? She's because Vi is now there for her, and she's wanted Vi to show up. She's interpreting what's happening in the most positive light possible, right? Like, oh, she's here. She wants to help. Okay, right? You give them the benefit of the doubt. You're seeing everything in the most charitable way possible. And now that she thinks Vi is turned on her, she's looking at everything in the most negative way possible. Like, well, that's not my name. I chose a different name. You're here to steal from me. You don't care about me. Fuck you. Right? That's how I interpret what's happening in this scene. Do you think it's an absurd interpretation, or think you got a better one?
I think that's consistent. I think there's nothing to disagree with.
I'm sure it was nothing, Andrew. I'm sure it was just the wind.
Oh, it's our buddies, it's our friends from the good old days.
The good old days. Um, but yeah, right. We talked about this a little. The I'm here for you, only for you. I think right. She's exploring the hypothesis. Is that why you came back for the stupid stone? Right, in line with what Savik is saying. And Caitlyn is obviously very much there for the stone. Um, and then we have sister thought I missed her. I bet you wouldn't miss her. Which I think is her starting to. That's what's the word? Thought I missed her is sort of a telling line because she's saying,
Yeah.
no, I
Is
thought
she
I was missing her, but now not so much. That she's here to steal my
she
stone.
is she like um
Thanos? No.
no,
Most pro.
is she referencing like is she just like doing like crazy talk or is she like referencing I don't know, poem or song or something?
Well,
'Cause I don't know, it sounds or like a saying or something. I'm
I
just curious if it's like a thing or if it's just her doing
I
thing.
mean, I don't know what poem she would be referencing.
I
It
don't know.
could be. I can tell you it's an octameter. Well, I guess
Okay.
it wouldn't be octameter. It'd be quadtrameter or whatever the 4 beats is.
Iambic swaglodameter.
Do you even know what iambic means? Can you tell me the difference between iambic and trochaic, Andrew?
Yeah.
I'll give you points if you can tell me which one's cooler.
Well, you know what, Max?
What?
I could tell you. Why should I? I don't need points.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, you could say one, and then I would say you're wrong and be controversial. Because my answer is
that'd
going to
be
be
fun.
trochaic is the better one, which will upset some English lits. Because do you know who wrote an iambic?
Sure.
Yes, he writes an iambic. But my favorite, he's neither my favorite poet nor my favorite author. Uh, well, he's neither my favorite poet nor my favorite horror writer, but he's second in both categories. Edgar Allan Poe writes in trochaic. Uh,
Oh,
the Raven is trochaic. It's just where you put syllable stress.
okay.
Um, so iambic. Let's not get into it.
Okay.
We gotta blitz through this.
Oh, so cool. Firelights. Coolest cats in
It's the
town.
firelights.
The firelights.
And those are some nice shots, like artistically. So it's got some nice. I like the scene is very chaotic, as a lot of group fights are, but by color coding it, you're able to get like the gist of what's happening at every second, and realize who's who. So I like how they've used colors in this. I also like how Jinx is depicted now versus a few seconds ago. Right when she's in this sort of tumultuous, like interpersonal relationship dialogue scenario, she's very out of control and doesn't really know what she should be doing or what's happening or anything. But when you put her in the combat scenario, suddenly she's like fucking Neo. Like
True. She's
this,
very
this
much
I
more in her element.
understand. See, this is the real what we've really learned from Arcane, that the issue is that they're all women.
Yeah,
If they were men,
exactly.
they just have a fist fight over it and go home.
Well, no, because Vi already kind of does that.
That's see, this is the real problem, Andrew. Vi didn't hit powder enough. Uh, I mean, I'm the views expressed on this show does not represent the views of the Max Gang channel. The Max Gang channel in no way
In a way,
endorses
affiliate.
child abuse or domestic abuse of any kind.
No way does the Max Gang channel associate itself with that which is expressed by Max Gang.
Max Gang is an entirely separate entity controlled by Max Gang Ltd.
No affiliation with Max Gang, who regularly appears
Opinions
on the
expressed by
show.
Max Gang on the Max Gang channel are solely his own and not in any way affiliated with the Max Gang brand. Hi, this is Max Gang, CEO of Max Gang Ltd, and I'd just like to say that we do not agree with the views expressed by our contributor Max Gang on the Max Gang channel.
We will promptly depose of Max Gang and replace him with a better.
As CEO, I want you to know we will no longer be working with Max Gang. He has been relieved of his position. He shall be replaced by our new host, Max Gong.
Max Gang. Max Gang.
And so this is also sort of plays in to two things I was saying earlier. One, look how happy she is. You know, they say fine, do something you love. You'll never work a day in your life.
I do say that.
Yeah. And what Jinx loves is apparently like in GTA. Except they got no consoles, so they found the next best thing.
Yeah, just actually just do that.
But also like she's almost hitting Vi and shit, which really sort of shows
Hmm.
how out of it she is and how fucking crazy she's becoming, or she became crazy. She is crazy, and Vi is now having this moment where she kind of realizes that, but it doesn't seem to stick for episode 9. But yeah, and once again we have all these like beautiful shots of these colorful pink and blue and green and all this shit. Listen, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I'm not saying this character, no one hates her. All I'm saying. I'm not, Amber, I'm not, my hands are up. I'm not, listen, Andrew, what I'm trying to say is the Mexican corporation does not endorse any of the views. That was a pretty nice shot. And once again, we have Powder going ape shit.
Yeah, at this point we get a little glimpse of Maya being like, okay, yeah, something's going on here.
But fortunately, they've beaten all the firelights, and so now she will reunite with Jinx, and they'll talk out the rest of her problems. See, oh no, never mind.
That man asked Bilbo Baggins on Vi.
Oh, I wonder who that could be. It could be anyone, Andrew.
His voice sounds almost like the repetition of sounds, more of bouncing off of things. Call that again.
And so Vi gets taken away before they can resolve any of the issues.
Yeah, that's terrible. Nice. Nice. Yeah.
There we go. What'd you think of the ending?
I hated
Okay, great input.
it. I
For the record, the views of Andrew Gieralt are not endorsed.
wait. Jinx is a woman.
Did you even ask what her pronouns?
Oh, the views of interest. Wait, what do I actually think?
See, that was the big issue. If Vi had first asked what her pronouns were, it would show. That's the real issue. Vi's just transphobic.
Yeah, but well, part of it for me though is that I don't think that you should be, and
A
I
woman.
don't know what. Well, actually, maybe I should ask you. What do you think, Vi? What do you? What? Okay, actually, first, I'm interested to think. What do you think, if anything, coherent Jinx, or not you coherent, Jinx coherent? If Jinx thought anything coherent of what would Vi actually do or say when she did come, what do you think her expectations of that event would be? Or do you think it was just the sort of kind of like a following her not being in a sound state of mind? She wouldn't necessarily have any expectation. It would just be when Vi comes, everything will be fine. Also, simultaneously care about Silco, like all everything at once. Hopefully it's clear what I'm asking.
I'm not sure Jinx had a super coherent, fully thought through plan. I think she heard that Vi was back. She heard what Savika had to say, and didn't want to believe it, and decided to take a chance. Take a chance on me. You're feeling fine, and light up the flare and see what would happen. And I think this was like her reach out hey, uh, this was like the reaching out, because she doesn't fucking know anything about why she's there or what's going on. So she's reaching out to figure out what the hell's going on here. And then Vi shows up and she's like, I tried, but I couldn't get to you because of Marcus. She doesn't say Marcus, Jinx says that, but you know. And then that's when she starts trying to put pieces together to figure out what the fuck's going on here. You know, if you died and came back to life, and I found out about it, first thing I'd do is say, hey, Andrew, why are you not dead anymore? And I would phrase it exactly like that.
And I would tell you, well, Max, because of this. And you would think, oh, yeah,
It's
that
because
makes
I
sense.
believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and with him by our side, we never truly die. And then I'd say, no, I mean literally here now, Andrew.
I can see where the confusion would take place.
But yeah. And so Jinx has now come to the end of this, and Vi has disappeared, and she still doesn't really know what the fuck is going on. So what's she going to do, Andrew? What's she going
She's gonna be like, she's gonna probably just be more or less happy, probably. I think that would be.
She's going to go to Silco, Andrew.
That's right.
That's next episode. She's going to show up at Silco, and she's going to say, what the fuck is going on here?
Yes.
And then Silco will explain everything, and everyone will be a happy family once again.
And Vi will join them as well.
There's one thing I know about Vi. She'll definitely accept Silco as an adoptive father.
Sure, for sure.
I see no possible issues. But yeah, that was the end of episode 6. I don't know if we're doing next Wednesday or not. Shit's gonna get real fucking.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out for sure.
Yeah, we're not super consistent with these uploads anyway, so try to do it Wednesday.
Wrong
We
there.
skip a couple here and there, but just so you're aware, Sea Beast is not being worked on currently, but work will commence once again. Oh, I might actually have to read it all from the fucking beginning. I move.
Kidding.
I might. I'm not sure how. Well, actually, I don't think I've done that much on the Sea Beasts. I think I've just cut audio, so I can probably just redo it. It's not a big deal. I didn't do any visuals for it. Primer was the one I did all the visuals for, and that one's already uploaded, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And you can watch it unless you're in like a French island somewhere, because there's like 20 French islands in the middle of fucking nowhere where it's not allowed to be viewed because of fucking company. But yeah, we're gonna call it for tonight then.
Very well.
Yeah, we're gonna call it for tonight. We'll see you next time we see you. You can find my stuff at maxgang.com or in the links below. My website's linked there. Andrew's shit is linked there too for his YouTube. You can go watch, download and play Air Obscure on Steam. You have like an itch.io account as well if you want to shield that.
Yeah.
And
I've got an itch.io account you can check out.
And anyhow, he's got a novella on Amazon called Dragon Slayers if you'd like to read that. Is there anything else you'd like to show? Any details on the upcoming game?
Oh no. That's gonna be a while before there's any upcoming game, to be honest.
Yeah. Development has halted for a little bit on the TTRPG, but we're getting close. Sometime after I get to Korea, I'll finish it up, and then me and Andrew will test it out on stream for everyone to see, maybe if Andrew's down for it.
Didn't know it'd be on stream, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I just threw that out there. I should have asked you before I mentioned it, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought it might be a good
down.
idea. Is there anything else we need to show?
Uh, yeah.
All right. That was us talking about Arcane episode 6, the end of the second arc. We'll see you when we see you next. Till then, fuck off.